6'1". How tall are you, Randolph? 6'7", Brother Randolph Brown. He's 6'7". Goliath was 9 feet, 9 inches tall. In ancient times, when they went to battle, sometimes the whole army wouldn't go to battle. They would send out a representative to fight a representative of another, of the opposing army. Goliath comes out and basically stands as a representative of the Philistines. And he says, send me a man to fight. Now, the Bible says he does this for 40 days. Now, you would think that 40 days is long enough for some of the Israelites to get some intestinal fortitude about them. But for 40 days, I can see him as he gets out of his tent that his legs protrude out of because the tent is too small for him. And he gets up out of his tent and he picks up his staff, his spear, and he puts on his armor and he lets out a loud yawn and he goes down into the valley and he says, is there anyone to fight me yet? And I could just see my good brethren in the Israelite army. Man, you 6'7", man. You closer to his height than I am. Man, your sword is longer. Well, your sword is heavier. Intimidation. 40 days. Intimidation. Then all of a sudden, this little shepherd boy comes. Write these points down. This shepherd boy understood that the fight was fixed. And when you have faith that the fight is fixed, number one, that faith doesn't consider the face of the foe. Faith that the fight is fixed does not consider the face of the foe. Meaning it does not matter how big your trial is when you believe that your fight is fixed. It doesn't matter how intimidating your situation is. It doesn't matter how overwhelming your situation is, because God knows everybody in here will be in some kind of overwhelming situation that at the moment makes you feel like there's nothing you can do and you're not going to get out of this. Think about the worst moments in your life. The worst trials in your life, the worst tribulations in your life, they were intimidating. But when you know that the fight is fixed, you don't fear the face of your foe. It was intimidating. When he walked, his steps were public everywhere he went. There was no such thing as a man of Goliath's stature sneaking around or creeping or trying to be in stealth mode. No, because Goliath was intimidating. He didn't have to be in stealth mode. When he walked, the clinging and the clanging of his armor itself was the noise of intimidation. Point number 2, and we're going to revisit this before the lesson is over. Faith that knows that the fight is fixed and that God has fixed the fight does not consider who's frightened by the fight. David gets to the children of Israel, and his brothers have a problem with him. Everybody look at the text. Verse number 26 says, and David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, why camest thou down hither? And why, with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and thy naughtiness and thy heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. Look at his brother. What you doing here? Who'd you leave your sheep with? I know you. You're not down here for any other reason. You just want to see the battle. And the thing was, that wasn't truth speaking. It was intimidation, because at that point, there was no battle. So David, baby brother, gets to see oldest brother be a coward. And people who don't know that God has fixed the fight get upset and get intimidated and get irritated by other people who witness their cowardice. And so here Eliab was mad at David, said, "You're just down here to see the battle." But there was no battle. The only thing that was going on is you had an army of scared men who wouldn't go fight this guy because he's making a lot of noise and he's 2 times taller than you are. What gave David the confidence that God fixed his fight? Number one, he understood that it wasn't Israel that was being fought, but the armies of the living God. You got to understand, when you're going through your trial, Jack, that the devil ain't fighting you. He's fighting God. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Do you know whose you are? You are a child of God. I don't care if you don't feel like it. I don't care what you're going through. You are a child of God. No matter who hates on you, who dislikes you, who can't stand you, they can't stand. It's not that they can't stand you. It's God. Your fight is not even with them. It's with the devil, and his fight is with God. And every now and then we need a dose of being reminded who we are. Because when you don't know who you are, you'll run when you don't even have to. When you know and don't know what you have, you'll be afraid when you don't even have to be afraid. When you know that the fight is fixed and that God has already fixed your fight. You won't worry about how in shape or emotionally balanced or how if I'm ready. No, it ain't your fight in the first place. And when it is your fight, it's already fixed. But brother preacher, you don't know what I'm going through. I'm battling sickness. I'm battling financial trouble. The fight is already fixed. God already fixed your fight. How do you know, brother preacher? I mean, that sounds optimistic, but how many other times have you battled financial trouble? Are you eating? I know you're eating. I can look at you and see you eating. Always got something to eat. Always got something over your head, someplace to live. You're here right now. You might be sick, but you are here right now. Why? Because the fight has been fixed. And I know when you first started your financial trouble, you said, how am I going to make it? I don't know what I'm going to do. This is it. This is it. I can't take it no more. There have been times in my life where I wanted to quit. There are times in my life when I have quit. You know why? Because I felt like I was losing. The truth of the matter is, all of us are going to be losing, but it's not whether or not we're losing, it's whether or not we lose. Because there's a difference between losing and having lost. Losing is a comma. Lost is a period. And there have been times in my life where I've been losing as a husband, losing as a father, losing as a preacher, losing as a friend. But thanks be to God, my fight was fixed, and I didn't stay losing. I didn't lose the battle. I lost the round, but I won the fight, and I didn't do it because I was so strong, and I knew so many scriptures, and I'm a preacher. I did it because a long time ago, God fixed my fight.